Welcome back to the third Saturday in October, your SEC water cooler podcast for the rest of us. Find us going crazy online at thirdsaturdayinoctober.com, on social media at TSIO pod, and on Venmo, where you can contribute to our NIL fund at TSIO pod.
Yeah, and if you don't contribute,
If you don't
we're not
contribute,
gonna we're not gonna show up next week. We're gonna show up on a completely different podcast next week.
we're going to go all Josh Heupel
Yeah,
on
we're
it.
we're gonna hold you up, and
For
and
those
how
of
dare
you,
you judge us?
for
Yeah.
those of you living under a rock, a lot has happened uh this weekend, and in the 2 weeks since we last got together. Florida won the national championship, SEC
Yeah,
national
awesome,
champions.
awesome national championship. I know you and I haven't a chance to really discuss that, and that's a
No,
little bit of old news now. But man,
heck of a last
congrats!
couple
What
minutes.
an amazing season! Basketball season was fantastic, and
Yeah,
my
but
gosh, I'm not even totally over basketball season, and now we've had all this drama with football, so it's just like
yeah. So
sp fall football can't get here quick enough.
so basketball is over.
Yeah,
Florida defeats Houston
which was
in
a heck of a game, by the way.
in amazing fashion
Yeah,
in there at the last
Houston
few minutes.
Houston almost won that though. Let's not kid ourselves. That could
No,
have gone the other way very easily.
yeah,
It didn't, but it could have.
yeah.
So
Very excited that the SEC won.
yeah.
Even though it pains me to say congratulations, Florida.
Oh
Um,
yeah, it pains me, but I'm glad they beat Houston, and they are a good team. So
yeah,
as painful as it is, it's they earned that one. I mean,
yeah.
can't really
Um,
hate too hard on that. So
yeah. Then Tennessee loses its first series, and I'm trying to remember when the last time they lost a series at home because I think
are we talking
Alabama.
baseball? Because
Yeah,
I, I'm not even allowing myself to process that Tennessee could have lost a series. Well, back up. Talk to me. What happened?
um,
I'm out of it. I'm
no,
caught up in all this other all the craziness. So
yeah. Texas A&M came to town. Texas A&M,
ah,
who
a little showdown from last year,
oh
huh?
man, yeah, revenge series,
Huh.
definitely. So,
Okay, that's intriguing.
um, let me look. If I Tennessee won the first game 10-0. This was in Knoxville. Then late Friday night, I believe it's announced because of weather moving through on Sunday that a doubleheader is going to be played on Saturday. Uh, Tennessee, some some not great pitching, uh, combined with uh, not great defense. A few errors caused them to drop the first game 9-3, and that just kind of rolled over into the second game where they lost 17-6. So this is by far the worst. That second game on Saturday, the worst game Tennessee's played in quite a while. Um, but also just kind of what in the world happened. A&M, who started out, I think preseason top three, maybe number one. I can't quite remember. Um, but they did lose their coach to Texas after the College World Series last year, and quite a few players. Still had a really good roster, but just couldn't figure it out early in the season. Dropped out of the rankings, but come to Knoxville, take down number one Tennessee. Tennessee then falls to number five, beats Alabama State 10-2 midweek, and then takes 2 of 3 in Oxford against number six Ole Miss. So it was a 5-6 matchup. Tennessee's now back up to number four. Uh, but I think this is a good time for Tennessee to have lost a series, and I think it's good for them to have lost a series now at 31-5, I believe. Um, but I think really what it was is just some inexperience getting
Yeah.
exposed. We've got a lot of young arms pitching, a lot of new guys in the field, and sometimes you need that wake up call. Am I worried? No. Uh, Really, the
No.
only thing that worries me is the brutal schedule. Um,
Well,
Starting with
yeah.
Bellarmine, I think is how you say that.
Mm.
Don't expect that to be much of a challenge. Uh, but here are the SEC series left on the schedule: Kentucky, LSU, Auburn, Vanderbilt, ending the season with current number two Arkansas. Um, just so you know, here are the SEC teams in the top 25. Number one, Texas. Number two, Arkansas, who Tennessee will play. Number four, Tennessee. Number five, Georgia. Um, Drop down to number eight, Auburn, who Tennessee plays. Number nine, LSU, who Tennessee plays. Number 11, Ole Miss, who Tennessee just beat two out of three. Number 15, Alabama, who Tennessee beat a couple weeks ago. Number 18, Oklahoma. Number 19, Vanderbilt, who Tennessee is going to play. And I can't. So that's the top 25. There's another SEC team not far out of the top 25, and I'm blanking on who it is. But that's one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine, 10 of the top 25, and it's 10 of the top 19 in the country come from God's country, the SEC.
Right.
Uh, so it's Tennessee kind of found its footing again against Ole Miss. Um, I'm looking to see how they bounce back against Kentucky. Um, I mean, I guess they bounce back against Ole Miss, but um, want to see how they continue to respond against Kentucky this weekend in Knoxville, where there's been nothing short of soap opera drama happening on the Hill in Tennessee.
Right.
Uh, I love baseball, but I wanted to get through that so we can spend most of our time talking about the um, seismic waves that just happened in college football and NIL and how these things worked. If Here's what I understand to have happened in December, preparing for the playoff game against Ohio State, Nico Iamaleava's quote unquote team. So this is dad, some sort of friend who's been working as an agent. Side note, I hear Nico's looking for a real agent now. Um, Apparently
Well,
started
yeah,
shopping
I
around.
think he may have already figured that out, but if he
Yeah.
hasn't, yeah.
Started shopping around. Um, I heard that
Well,
they called Oregon
that
to
might
see
be
if
the first
Oregon would
smart thing he did.
yeah would be interested in ponying up some money for a transfer quarterback.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
what we heard later on Friday or Saturday is Dan Lanning, current head coach of the Oregon Ducks, then called head coach of the Tennessee Volunteers, Josh Heupel, to say, "Hey, your quarterback is shopping around."
no, that's embarrassing. That's
That
amateur hour, if I've ever heard of it.
yeah,
So, because
uh,
these things happen, we just don't hear about them,
right,
and we don't hear about them because there's moderately competent people that are, having the conversations, and they're probably happening in the right type of, the right windows of time.
yeah,
Although I'm sure some of them would discuss this, we don't even know about them because they never even get that far.
yeah,
This Just the fact that this went as far as it did is a testimony to the amateur approach
yeah,
of the party that's not Tennessee,
yeah,
the party
amateur,
representing Nico.
yeah, amateur hour up on the hill, and it didn't have anything to do with the school. So
Yeah.
this this kind of carries over. Apparently, they were. I'm not sure what kind of discussions they were having because it didn't seem to be going anywhere.
Mhm.
It came to a head Friday, the last practice before Tennessee's orange and white game, where Nico didn't show up for practice,
Unbelievable. Yeah.
and news news hit the airwaves that Nico's sitting out because of contract negotiations.
Dude, there's no coach that is no credible college football coach is going to agree that that was the right thing to do.
Right.
No,
And
no NFL coach would do that. I mean, that's just dumb, 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 dumb,
yeah,
dumb.
I mean, you see it in the NFL, and you're like, come on, like this is. I
Yeah,
I
that's
get it.
embarrassing.
I get
Yeah,
it to some extent, but I don't. As much as I loved Nico, I felt like he did not do enough to get a pay raise. Um,
no, he didn't.
and so
Well, he didn't at Tennessee. We'll put it that way.
yeah, so Friday, Friday we hear about this. Saturday morning, I'm making breakfast and I see Paul Feinbaum talking that Tennessee and Nico Iamaleava have parted ways. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, I
Honestly,
did. I caught wind of all this on Friday, and but it's always kind of like, okay, how serious is this? But then you hear about the missed practice on Friday. Yeah, or I think maybe it's Thursday when I found out. But when I heard about the missed practice, that's when I knew. I was like, okay, this is a big uh-oh. Like
yeah.
this is
So
way more serious than I thought. I just thought, okay, this is just, he's trying to negotiate, which is
yeah,
totally fine.
and I'm proud of Josh Heupel and Danny White, our athletic director,
Yeah,
for making not an easy decision to say we're not going to play this game like this. Kick rocks.
no,
Go
that was the right decision. Yeah,
go figure it out. And I mean, so on Tennessee's roster, there are two scholarship quarterbacks, a redshirt freshman in Merklinger, who played a little bit, but we don't know what he can do because he redshirted this last year.
true.
And then true freshman George McIntyre from my alma mater, the Brentwood Academy Eagles, um,
Ah,
who had a great spring game. But I mean, spring games are kind of set up to make everybody look good. So,
yeah, yeah.
but
You're only seeing so much because there's too much tampering and or perspective tampering, and yeah, it
yeah,
is what it
but
is. I feel bad for the fans, but at the same time, spring is spring. So
yeah, but um, McIntyre's hitting his spots, hitting his receivers. Merklinger doing more of the same,
hmm
but not sure that either one of them is ready to take over the offense. So I think what's going to happen is we're gonna see on Wednesday who hits the portal from Tennessee. Like who came here to play with Nico, and now that he's gone, is like, I'm gonna go somewhere else. Um, and also what quarterbacks who we're not thinking about transferring, but now you've got a golden opportunity at Tennessee to A, make quite a bit of money, and B, take the reins of a high powered offense. You may have especially some backups who say, hey, I want to go try my hand in Knoxville and see
totally.
what I can do. And it'll set up a QB race for the fall.
Yeah, I think worst case you get a nice backup QB to go with your sophomore who probably can do just fine, but it is putting all your eggs in the sophomore basket, which I know that's a scary thing for some. But I
Yeah.
don't I don't think the two quarterbacks Tennessee has right now, I think they're probably going to be fine.
Yeah.
Um, are they as good as Nico? I mean, no, because they haven't had the experience Nico's had, but they're still going to be good players. So I
Yeah.
I don't even think you need that starting QB, although you have the money to go get one. And if you think he's good enough, grab him. But I think you probably give the sophomore a shot and, just find another depth piece and then
Yeah.
fill out, some of your other things that you're worried about, like maybe it's defensive line or, because I think maybe they have, Tennessee has four strong defensive line, but you're going to need some more depth, with the season as long as it is.
Yeah,
And I'm sure there's other pieces too. Probably
yeah.
wide receivers, one.
I mean, we tried to beef up our offensive line, which apparently that was part of Nico's camp's demands is you need to go get a stronger offensive line, which they
Mhm.
went and got two guys out of the portal. Um, uh, so feeling a little bit better about offensive line. Not sure about center, only because you had Mays holding down the offensive line there at center um, for he started as a freshman for 4 years. So um, we'll be interested. I will be interested to see just how that communication is on the offensive line.
Oh, totally.
Uh,
Yeah.
but I'm feeling better about that. Um, Running back by committee more so than we've had in the last few years. Um, Receivers, young but talented. Um, so we'll see that. I think that's who I'm really most worried about is uh, are there going to be any receivers hit the portal? Um, you saw Matthews kind of do this at the end of the season where he didn't have a whole lot of playing time. It's like, and do I want to test the market, see if I can get a little bit more uh, in NIL? Not sure how that really settled, other than he's back on Tennessee's roster for now. Um, but I applaud Heupel and Danny White for um, not really flexing their muscle, but standing their ground, um, and not being bullied by an unproven quarterback. I mean, he had 2,600 yards, 19 touchdowns, five interceptions, uh, 300 something yards rushing last year. For a full time starter, I would I'd want to see more TDs, especially in this offense. Um, and I think you need to see closer to 3,000 yards or more. Um, but you could tell you could kind of tell the training wheels were still on the offense this last year. It didn't seem like it really opened up like it did under Hendon Hooker, e- even with Joe Milton. It still felt um, a little more restrained this year.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So I don't know who would have wanted to pony up another $1.6 million to get Nico to his apparently requested 4 million. Um,
Well,
but
if the market's cooled and it's just UCLA and they're not bidding anybody, how in the world are they going to pay him 4 million? They're not going to pay him 4 million.
yeah, so that's been the talk. That's what you and I have been texting about. Where's he
Now,
going to
if they're in a
go?
bidding war with UNC or somebody like that, then that's where you potentially get closer to that number. But
Yeah,
if you don't have a
because
school that's bidding against you, then you know,
yeah, and what I was hearing early was USC, UCLA, Texas Tech, UNC, um, Oregon. Not sure if they were going to take a look at him or not. At just what I've heard today, all of those have dropped out with the exception of UCLA. So if you want to play Power Four football, it sounds like UCLA or bust. Um,
yeah, that's what it sounds like.
which he may not mind going back to California,
No, he might
uh,
want that. Yeah,
where he
that's
grew up, to play football.
mhm.
If I mean, you're going to have to get a sizable bump from 2.4 million in Tennessee, where there's no state income tax, um, to
Man,
have the same kind of quality of living in
yeah.
California, where the income tax rate is much higher. Um, Plus, just cost of living. So, uh, good luck to you, Tennessee. Moving forward, the locker room sounds as united as ever. Um, So I'm very hopeful for what tomorrow brings when the portal opens. Um, I mean, the next 10, 11 days could be very crazy. Um,
Yeah, it could be, but is it going to get any worse than what you just dealt with? I don't think so. I
no, I
mean,
mean, I don't think it's
maybe
going to get any
you
worse.
lose a couple pieces, but you just got $2 million in the bank to go grab some depth. So,
Yeah.
I
And
mean, it's not like you're sitting on empty. You
yeah,
have options.
yeah. Um, Hype, Hypel, who, uh, can get into the coach speak as good as anybody. Um, Saturday after the spring orange and white game, uh, didn't beat around the bush when he said, "No one's bigger than the power T,"
Yeah,
and that includes me. He's, he
that
said,
was that was well said.
"Yeah, that there have
Yep,
been a lot of great coaches who've come before me, a lot of great players who laid the cornerstone, and there's going to be great players and coaches after me, and these players are gone too."
absolutely.
Um, and I mean, he took the high road and said, "We're thankful for what Nico's done. Wish him best of luck."
No, everything he said was spot on. I
Yeah,
don't, he didn't criticize him. He didn't belittle him. He appreciated him and said, that they're moving on, but they were grateful for the time they had. I can't imagine being betrayed like that and then still treating somebody with that much class and dignity. I mean, that says a lot about your head coach. And dude, if you're not proud as a Tennessee fan of your coach and your school standing up and the way they've handled this, my goodness. Like I think uh, he's Heupel's definitely won some goodwill this
yeah,
year, even if the season isn't as good as it might not be a 10-win season like last year, and that's not going to be necessarily on Heupel. You had variables at play here. The system's broken. We all know it's broken, and it just happened to fall on Tennessee, sadly. But dude, I mean, no school's completely exempt because I mean Auburn, while we might not be having a public nightmare like this, I mean we've got some guys that have hit the portal and they're quality depth guys, and they just weren't going to get the playing time they felt like they should probably deserve, and that's because we stacked, dude. We,
yeah,
we we got some good guys, and some of them are young, and you can't, I mean, the writing's on the wall, and I'm sad to see some of those guys uh, go to different programs, but I get it, you know.
yeah.
And I'm not hating on them because they're not holding the school up for money. They're opening the portal's open. They're going to go see what they can do somewhere else. Just like I mean, Auburn lost a couple quarterbacks. We lost three quarterbacks
I
in the
know,
winter.
but I know, baby
So
goat, uh,
yeah, he's at Iowa. We got one
found new
quarterback
pastures.
at yeah, we got one quarterback at Texas State. We got another one at Iowa, and then we got another one at Baylor. So it's
I mean,
these are all guys that I liked. Like I'm kind of low key rooting for them. At their new school, but
yeah,
um,
it always amazes me that you go from a place like Auburn, um, to in Iowa. You said Texas State.
okay. So Holden Geriner is the guy that went to Texas State, and Texas State is G5 obviously, but
Yeah,
Holden Geriner, I thought he might stick around just because he's been at Auburn so long. But he thinks he's got a legitimate shot at starting at Texas State, so go take it, man.
yeah,
Because he wasn't going to start at Auburn, and that's just not what was going to happen. But
yeah.
I like the kid. He's a good guy, and he's served Auburn well. And man, there's no ill will at all. Like that's a good dude, and I want him to win. I hope he and Texas State has nothing to do with the SEC, so man, I hope he kills it.
I mean, it's interesting to me to see where these guys go from. a a Power Five school, especially I know
Well,
Auburn did
he's
not
not
have the
likely a
season.
pro guy, so I don't even
Yeah,
know if he'd be a UFL guy. He might be if he really wanted to play that long. But I think it's like, hey man, I got one more year. Let me just you know
I just want to
go
play.
somewhere where I really got a shot to play and have a
Yeah,
good final year because that's probably his final year. I mean, it's just realistic, but it doesn't in any way mean he's not a good guy or a good player. He just
yeah.
some guys aren't going to be Nico. You know what I mean? They're not going to get that
Well,
top
but
spot, and
but in
yeah.
Iowa, it's like it's not really a destination for a quarterback.
No, but I'm sure he had a list of possibilities, and Iowa was the best. And he probably Hank Brown is who we're talking about now. Hank
Yeah,
Hank probably just kind of looked at everything and said, "Hey, Iowa is where I probably got a best shot of getting that playing time." And Hank gets the right playing time, and he lands at the right school. He can be a winner, and he can potentially he might play next level, maybe. Who know? Why not? Um, maybe.
yeah,
So we'll see. And the same with the guy who went to Baylor. I mean, he wasn't gonna. He saw the writing on the wall with our incoming freshman who's a 5 star, and then we went out and got Oklahoma's quarterback, and so I was just like, okay, well, let me go
yeah,
try my luck somewhere else, and that sucked, but at the same time, it's just like, okay, well, I get it.
yeah.
So
It's it's different with the transfer portal and with NIL because you I think of the top 10 quarterbacks um from Nico's class, only Arch Manning has stayed at the school where he committed. Um the other 9 have transferred. Um
yeah, and is anybody really that blown away by that? I'm not.
I just find it interesting that um the guys do that. I mean, if I'm a quarterback,
Well, you're not going to start over Arch Manning, so I mean,
well, yeah, but I
so
mean,
so then what's your motivation to go to Texas as a quarterback other than to okay, I'm going to learn under Arch Manning
well, I mean,
and
I think what you've got to do, and this was I heard an interview with Peyton Manning, um, talking about Arch and why he stuck around, and I think Arch
well, he got
having
he got
more,
paid reasonably to
yeah,
to to watch and basically develop. Uh,
yeah.
they paid him to sit.
I mean,
So
uh, you've got all your uncles, your granddad, your dad even, um, who have experience at great levels. I mean, your dad blew out his knee in college and didn't get past that. But guys saying, okay, the money's fine. Like get what you can, but find who's going to develop you. Find your head coach and your quarterback coach, your offensive coordinator. Find those guys that you think are going to be best for you, and then let them do what they're good at.
totally.
Um, and I think that gets missed. Um, and I know for some guys it's like, hey, if I can go make an extra $1 million somewhere else, I'm gonna go do it.
Yeah, why
Uh,
not?
because you don't know if you're going to get hurt tomorrow and your career is going to be over. Um, so get the money while you can.
Yeah,
But
100%.
I understand that. Um,
Yeah,
but
I'm not upset.
also,
I'm not upset with that. I
yeah,
get that.
um,
Because it's about how you handle it and when you deal with it, unlike Nico's dad.
yeah.
So
What happens if Arch Manning transfers to the real UT on Wednesday? Not that that would happen. Um,
There's zero chance of that happening. I mean,
I
Texas has him locked down. They're paying him. I don't know what they're paying him, but he's not going anywhere.
no.
So,
The size of the Texas coffers and um just just the way that
can you imagine though if that did happen? My Lord, that'd be the talk. Oh my
no kidding.
gosh, that would be wild.
Um
I'm not even gonna let my mind go there. That's
no,
too much. Yeah.
I mean that yeah, that I don't know what kind of falling out you'd have in Austin for that to happen,
Well,
but
that's sadly the difference between the two players we're comparing here with
yeah,
Nico and Arch is Arch doesn't have clowns representing him.
yeah.
Sadly, and I don't like to say that about Nico, but that's true.
No, and the comparison that I heard today was Nick is Nico's dad trying to be LeVar Ball. And
Well, I mean, he's kind of earned that one after the way this has played out. I mean,
yeah,
and maybe we see Nico just dominate this year, and everybody's like, "Oh, they were right." But man, that's a slim possibility.
I mean if you're having trouble mastering an offense when you've been there a year and a half, whatever it was, and now you have to go learn a new playbook starting at the earliest Wednesday. I just I don't understand how I don't see how you're gonna have a mastery of this new offense because nobody runs Heupel's offense, especially like Heupel does.
Nope.
Um, not to the same level. There's other high powered offenses, but what Heupel's figured out is just different, and it's supposed to be a fairly simple read because what I understand is you're really only reading half the field after the snap. You're reading it pre-snap because the defense has to show you what they're planning to do. But then once the ball snapped, you're really only reading half the field. Um, so if you've got to go through, you know, NFL type progressions, it's going to be a little bit different.
Yeah, it will be.
But
I don't like what happened, and
no,
I wish Tennessee the best, and I think they're going to be fine. And Nico, I don't put all the blame on him, although he has to shoulder some of it because at the end of the day, he's got a voice. He can speak up.
yeah, he could have
Um,
said, I like it here at Tennessee. I want to stay. Like, see if you can get
I mean, he
more.
just what the
But
previous night he had dinner with the QB coach, right? Like it was just like,
yeah,
what are we doing here?
it seemed very weird that
Well, that's why it couldn't have been all him.
yeah,
Uh,
it seemed very weird that all of a sudden you're sitting out
no,
the
somebody's
day
in his
before the spring
ear
game.
saying, yeah, somebody's in his ear saying giving bad advice, and that's what happened.
Yeah, um,
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
it is. I think I don't know what I don't know what to think about 2025. I had high hopes. Now it's just
Yeah, that's my follow-up question to you is what's the floor, what's the ceiling for Tennessee? I mean, I don't even have the schedule in front of me, but if you had to guess, I mean, what is a sophomore starting quarterback? Let's assume that's how it plays out. You know, what is that? Um, what does that mean for
yeah.
Tennessee's season?
So we start off against Syracuse in Atlanta. Um,
I mean, I would think you could have a third string and probably win that one, but maybe I'm wrong.
yeah, so you start off Syracuse in a neutral site, ETSU at home, and then Georgia at home. Um,
Georgia, you would have probably lost even with Nico.
yeah. Um, so we're 2-1. Then we've got UAB 3-1, Mississippi State. Um,
I mean,
I'm hoping I
Tennessee
can.
should always beat Mississippi State.
Yeah,
There's no
I'm
excuse.
I'm
Yeah,
hoping we're 4-1. Then we've got
that I think
Arkansas.
is a safe bet.
Yeah. Then we've got Arkansas at home.
Okay, now that could be. I still think Tennessee can beat Arkansas, but that's Arkansas's not a complete cupcake. But if it's at home, yeah,
Yeah.
I'd give the edge to Tennessee on that one.
Yeah. And something somebody said today is okay.
That might
Nico's
be a fun game to go to, actually.
yeah. Ni- Nico's not there. But how many people are going to be in Neyland Stadium this fall? 104,000.
Dude, they're gonna pack it out whether Nico's there or not,
Yeah. Um,
because that's what Tennessee football does.
yeah. So what for argument's sake, let's say Nico couldn't beat Arkansas, a new quarterback couldn't either. Um, we're 4-2. Then we travel to Alabama.
Man, I don't think you should give yourself a loss to Arkansas, but that's me. Go ahead.
Uh, then we travel to Alabama. We'll call it 4-3.
Yeah,
Kentucky,
that's likely a loss.
yeah. Um, Kentucky, I think we can beat Kentucky.
No, you
Um,
can beat Kentucky.
5-3. Oklahoma, we've got Oklahoma at home. Um,
That'll be fun.
I don't I haven't kept up with what Oklahoma's done this offseason.
They got that guy from what was it, Washington State? What what was his name? I can't even remember his name now. Mateer?
I mean, I don't know if it's
They're
enough.
gonna have a pretty good quarterback this year.
Yeah. But in Neyland, so that's what did I say, like 5-3. New Mexico State 6-3. Um,
John Mateer. Yeah, that kid can play. He's good. He's at OU.
uh, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. New Mexico State 7-3. Florida. I I don't know if Florida had some momentum at the end of the year. So say Tennessee loses
Yeah.
to Florida.
Lagway's back. Dude,
Se-
that's a tough one.
yeah,
Yep.
7-4.
That game's
Um,
at Florida too.
yeah, at Florida, and then hosting Vanderbilt. Um, I don't know that they replicate what they did this last year. Uh, so we'll call it 8-5. Um, so
I think if Tennessee ends up with 8-5, losing Nico, I think that's still a good year for
yeah,
Tennessee.
I I know before all this, um, the over under was 9.5 for wins for Tennessee, and I definitely take the under now. But I think 8 wins is very achievable.
Oh yeah, I would
Um,
agree with that. That's fair.
I would say that the locker room, um,
Something went wrong if you don't get 8 wins. I'll put
yeah,
it that way. Like you had some injuries, you had things that were just even more
yeah,
chaotic than you
some
expected.
catastrophic kind of things. I
Yeah.
I think the locker room is going to be um, more solidified. Um, what's interesting is Kitzelman, our tight end, is kind of taking on the leadership role. Last year it was Dylan Sampson, our running back. This year it was going to be Nico, who is not like he's not a big personality in the huddle in the locker room. Um, I've heard things come out that he was divisive in the locker room. I kind of get it. If he was shopping around back in December,
Right.
um, he's thinking that he is the guy, and I mean we all were kind of hoping he would be, um, but he just had the ego to match. Um, so I'm I'm thinking 8-5 is very achievable. Maybe we don't lose to Arkansas, but maybe we lose to a Kentucky or Vanderbilt. I
Man,
I think that the
I think 9 wins is still realistic,
yeah
even
um
without Nico.
the what scares me is um Georgia, third week of the season.
Yeah, but even with Nico, I don't think you win against
No.
Georgia. That's not me trying to be mean, but Georgia and Florida, probable losses. Alabama, probable loss. Oklahoma, maybe. So that's four. I don't know about the other ones though. I think Tennessee should be able to handle business. So
Yeah. I I'm excited though. I'm for as many questions as we've got at quarterback and who can really carry this offense. I I trust Heupel to go out and figure it out with either the players he's got or adding one or two guys from the portal, um, quarterback, receiver, whoever it be. Um, yeah, there's now that spring's wrapped up. Um, there's not a whole lot except for the portal the next 10, 11 days. Um, and you're going to have to do some evaluating really quickly to figure out what's going to work through the portal. Um, it's been a crazy weekend to say the least.
man, that is the nicest way of putting it. Yeah. But again, we've already said it. I'm gonna say it again. The way Tennessee handled this, the way Coach Heupel handled it, total class. As a Tennessee fan, or even someone who's not a Tennessee fan but looking from the outside in, and this gives me a lot of respect for Tennessee. I mean, I've never disrespected Tennessee, but I definitely appreciate the way that they treated the guilty party. I think they have handled this as well as you could possibly handle it, given the craziness of it.
Yeah.
So,
I
and I
you
and I, and
know
I kind of low key rooting for them based on you
I
know.
I know who don't want to root for Tennessee now. I I'm
I do think their Tennessee wins like the court of public opinion.
yeah.
So yeah, I mean, there's
I'm
people who are never going to root for Tennessee no matter what happens. But
I'm gonna
um,
be interested to see what happens over the summer with Greg Sankey and if the SEC decides to do anything to try to curb some of this in the future. Um, I think I totally expect that Greg Sankey and whoever's in charge of the Big Ten have already had conversations of what do we do because we know that the NCAA is going to take too long to figure things out, and it's going to have to be the SEC and the Big Ten, um, followed by the ACC and the Big 12. What what do we do to um, not what's best for the student athlete? Because I don't you can't you can't convince me that this is best for the student athlete. It just
well, but there's changes are coming,
yeah.
and hopefully sooner than later. And we got to get rid of this spring transfer portal. That's bad for everybody. So that needs to
Yeah.
go away. That's
Yeah,
got to go away. Like this should not go another year. This should be the last spring. If you can't get your business done in the winter, then you need to stay where you're at.
yeah. I think it was Coach Smart, Kirby Smart that said uh if I could have one wish, I just want to know who's going to be on my fall roster come end of spring practice because right now you don't know.
You
It
don't.
it could change overnight.
Uh,
Uh,
yeah.
oh,
I
what
uh I I love that we have this chat. I don't love that we had this chat, but I love the fact that
that
you
we
know,
can.
we can. And as terrible as it is that this was your team that had to stomach this, I just absolutely am pleased with the way it played out, given the circumstances. And I wish Tennessee the best. And Nico, if you can make your money, then go get it. But buddy, you burn some bridges.
Yeah.
So
Oh, the Nico heads pasted on the Lane Kiffin bodies. Uh,
I
the
know, man. If I'm Lane Kiffin, I gotta be like, man, finally, I'm like enemy number two now in
is it,
Knoxville.
he
Like,
retweeted a picture. It was a picture of um Lane Kiffin in the hallway, um, kind of contemplating life with Nico's head on it, and Lane's what Lane added to it was just the shrug emoji. Um, it classic Kiffin. Uh, but
well,
we'll have plenty to talk about next week as
I,
we.
I'm thrilled for Kiffin that he doesn't have to be enemy number one in Knoxville now. That's great. Good
Yeah,
for him.
yeah.
That is hilarious.
I know, and
Yeah.
if only he could get
Now, if
Nico.
Ole Miss went and got Nico, which they couldn't because he can't transfer in the SEC, that would make him back to enemy number one, maybe. But
Well, what happens if Nico transfers a year from now from UCLA
Ole Miss.
to Ole Miss? Yeah, it could
I
happen.
I would like to think that there's that's enough time to allow different types of pain to seep in. So there's that one's less of a sting. But I mean, how many years has it been since Lane left Knoxville and we're still talking about it? So it's yeah.
Yeah, that was
There's some things you
2009.
just don't live down.
Yeah.
So
No, that was the end of 2009, and
I mean, my Lord, yeah. Okay, well there you go. That's 16 years. So that's the memory, the short term memory and the long term memory of the Tennessee Vol fan is not going away. So
so what happens if so say Nico does transfer to Ole Miss
oh Lord.
for 2026, and who shows up on Tennessee's schedule to play in Knoxville but Ole Miss?
Oh man, can you imagine? My
I
gosh, that would be something. Or let's just say by some miracle Tennessee's back in the playoffs and then UCLA somehow makes it and they play each other. That would be that would be assuming he goes to UCLA. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah. Um. Well,
And
we'll
that
see.
game's in Knoxville. That would be the key.
Oh yeah.
But even if it's even if it's a different field. Woo. I'm kind of
Um.
rooting for that now. Maybe,
I, I
maybe it'd be nice to see that.
I know one can dream, right? Um. Well, hey, we're gonna have plenty to talk about next week as
Yeah.
the portal opens tomorrow. We'll have, I'm sure a lot will happen early in the portal window. I think it's open for about 10 days. So we should have plenty to talk about next week. Uh, in the meantime, find us online at third Saturday in October.com, on social media at TSIO pod, and contribute to our name, beautiful image, beautiful likeness.
Yeah, so Bradley's dad doesn't have to lead us down the wrong path.
Yeah,
So,
because look, I like it here on third Saturday. I don't want to have to transfer
yeah.
to a different podcast. Um, yeah, find
But
us on
but but
Venmo.
I mean if the third Saturday in April, if that podcast comes calling,
Yeah,
we
yeah.
might have to hear him out. So,
TSIA maybe my next destination. But find us on
yeah.
Venmo at TSIO Pod. Um, Heroes come in all sizes, and we're about to find out what size Tennessee's next hero comes in. Um, Roll Vols.
Hey man, I'm gonna give you a go Vols because this week you guys have earned that and yeah, War Eagle of course. I want to see my Auburn Tigers do well and that's not just in football, that's not just in basketball, but baseball too. I'm watching the Auburn. Yeah, they won a series against LSU this weekend. We didn't get to that, but yeah,
That's impressive.
yeah, we're happy
Yeah,
about that. Yeah.
yeah. Go Tigers.
All right then.
Tailgate, man cave, living room, pregame, burgers, ribs, chicken wings, chip and dip, pregame, scotch and a lot of IPA, Coca-Cola,